Readiness is a myth. It's like a unicorn. You'll wait for it to come along, and you can hold yourself back massively just by waiting for that feeling of readiness.
When was the last time you felt ready? Actually ready. Not, I'll do it when I'm more confident ready, not after one more course ready. If you're still waiting for that feeling, my guest today has news for you. It isn't coming. And that's the best thing you'll hear all week. Welcome back to Successful AF, the podcast for people who've ticked every box and still can't work out why it doesn't feel like enough. I'm Jess West, leadership and burnout coach, and this is the conversation about what success actually costs. Kerry Harrison is a business brand photography specialist. Her whole job is making people feel seen. Which is funny because for years she was the classic photographer hiding behind her own lens. One photo of herself on the website and a firm belief that surely that was enough. 16 years ago, she walked away from a well-paid senior design career to build her own business from scratch. And everything she now teaches about confidence, she learned the uncomfortable way. Including, at 47, signing up for a beginner's tap class on whim, which ended 2 years later with her doing the one thing she'd sworn she'd never ever do. This is a conversation about confidence, comfort zones, and what happens when you stop waiting to feel ready. Stay with me because in this episode you'll discover why readiness is a myth and the bit of basic brain science that explains why you'll never feel ready before you do the thing. The 3-step move Kerry uses on her imposter syndrome thoughts the moment they show up, and it's not just push through. What actually happened when the photographer had to get in front of the lens, and why your business needs your face more than your portfolio. The loss at 20 that quietly rewrote Kerry's entire definition of success, and the perspective it took her a decade to name. The one thing Kerry swore she'd never do, what dragged her there anyway, and what it took to actually enjoy it. Plus, her brand new passion project for midlife women, and why she's launching it without knowing how it ends. Kerry's quickfire answers include the single best burnout boundary anyone's ever given on this show. Now let's get into it. Welcome, Kerry. Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm really happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
I'm so excited about this conversation. We'll start at the top. Tell us your story.
Well, I am a business brand photographer specialist, but I started out probably from quite a different place, although I feel that it's all led me to where I am now. So I went to art college and then went to university and did a degree in graphic design. But I actually first started learning photography at age 16 in a dark room with film, which is the best way to learn, actually, black and white film, I think. So, yeah, I did university and then went and worked in design and marketing agencies for quite a few years before deciding to quit my fairly well-paid job as a senior designer and start my own business up as a photographer. And that was 16 years ago. So, yeah, about 16 and a half years ago was when I started. It's been a very steep learning curve in many ways. But yeah, and now I am a business brand photography specialist and I work with people who want something more than surface level photos for their business. So people that want something with a bit of depth that tells a story and is more than just pretty decoration on their website.
Amazing. So I have so many questions, but we'll start with obviously the photography's been like the golden thread. So what drew you back then? Or did you leave it? Or what's the relationship with photography been since you were 16?
Yeah, that's such a good question. And I don't think I ever left it. No. So I've always loved art and creativity. I knew at age 14 that I wanted to be a graphic designer, which was unusual, I think, looking back. I don't know where that came into my head, but I've always loved art and design. And then when I went to sixth form college, they had a dark room and you could just go and, have a play, really. So I got into it then. And even throughout my degree, I was still doing photography as a major module. So, and then it became more of a kind of hobby. And then I worked directing some photo shoots as part of being in a design agency. So yes, Yes, now I'm talking about it. It has definitely always been there, for sure. So it felt quite natural. That was where I wanted to go with my own business. I could have carried on being a freelance graphic designer, and I certainly did some of that to kind of, money wise, whilst I found my feet. But yeah, photography is always, it's just a real passion and love of mine. I love the fact that you can tell stories, that you can capture moments, that photography can also capture history, really pivotal moments. A lot of pivotal moments in history have been caught with amazing photos. You can change people's perceptions and minds. I just think it's a really powerful medium. As you can tell, I still love it.
Yeah. I adore photography. Like, it would be my art of choice to go and look at. Like, I'm not very good behind the lens, but I think, as you say, like, it changes history because there's just so much that you're like, oh, well, we didn't know this had happened, or, that sort of real documentation of
Yeah, exactly. And
moment
throughout
in time.
history, we've got records of things, atrocious things sometimes that
Yeah.
have happened, but things we would not have known about, and learnt from. So, and I think it's still as powerful as it ever was, really, in that way.
And then you're a business brand photographer. So, I mean, I can see the throughput from the graphic design, but what was it about working with founders and business owners that drew you? And like, obviously you go much beyond the surface. You bring out people's personality. You really show who they are through a photograph, which is very difficult. So how did you get there, and how do you do it without giving away your trade secrets, obviously?
Oh, you know what? I'm not about trade secrets at all. That's not how I operate. So I actually started out doing family photography 16 years ago. I had two young daughters. That seemed to be a kind of really natural place to go. And it's not that I didn't love it. I did, really. But then I was brave and I pushed myself out of my comfort zone, which has then been a common theme for the last 16 years of my own kind of business and personal growth, is actually purposely going, okay, this is really scary, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I went to my first business networking meeting, which I was properly scared. And I remember when I stood up, you had to do your kind of 30 seconds. And I was actually I could feel myself just shaking. So I did it. And that kind of made me realize that there was a whole different world of photography out there, and actually that businesses, especially small businesses, who are the type of people that go to those events, especially small businesses, really need good storytelling photography. So at first I thought, well, I can do that maybe as well, and then it just kind of took over, really. And yeah, I am now where all my skill sets come together in one place, because I got my design and marketing background, which is hugely helpful in terms of shooting like a marketing person for people to be able to use their photos for marketing, essentially. And I'm quite geeky about brand because I have that background. So, I do a lot of talk about brand personality and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it just felt like a really, really good and natural fit to me once I started exploring it.
And then one of the things I'm really curious about is the move from the corporate world to you're running your own business. And as far as I'm aware, you'd not run a business before. So I speak to quite a lot of founders, and it's not just a case of, oh, I now have to take photographs, but you also have to be the marketeer, which obviously you had a background in, but you've also got to be the accountant and the CEO and the head of IT and all of the things. How did you manage that?
Really badly at first. I've got to be honest, really badly. It was such a steep uphill learning. I think at the time, literally zero experience of running a business, I guess I thought, I kind of knew that I could take photos. And I guess I thought, okay, I can take photos, I'll build a website and they will come.
Yeah.
That's how you really naively think. And then I realised, I obviously thought I needed to do advertising and stuff like that and get myself out there in that way. But I think what I absolutely failed to realise, and what a lot of small business owners really fail to realise, is that you yourself as a human become a massive part of why people choose to work with you. And that's actually really hard at first, because it's really hard to kind of accept that people, that's why, and therefore you have to put your personality out there, and you have to show your face, and you have to kind of rock up. Otherwise, you're just a portfolio website with no real reason for people to choose you over another photographer. So that was the steepest learning curve. And I absolutely was the typical photographer who would hide behind my own lens, and very much, you know, I had like one picture of myself and that was it. And that was enough, surely. So it was just a really long, painful, really process of really understanding. And as you say, I came from that background of kind of marketing and stuff. So you would think, but it's not always that easy to do it, apply it to yourself. So I was always very happy kind of showing other people off and showing off how amazing they were. It took me a lot longer to go, okay, no, actually, I have got to show up and put myself out there in the same way. So it was, yeah, a really lot of self-work and self-development, I think. I'm not a natural, and then people kind of go, oh, but you're just so natural in front of the camera now. And I'm like, I absolutely was not in the beginning. And I do believe that confidence is not an innate quality. Maybe with some people it might be, but in my experience, it's not something you're born with. It's not an innate quality, but you can improve it. But quite often we have to do things that make us feel quite out of our comfort zone to kind of build that confidence.
I love that. I think there's so many things, but the confidence piece is something that I'm really interested in, because I do think lots of people think, oh, I'm just not a confident person, and then that's it. We put a lid on that. I'm not a confident person. That person's a confident person, so that's not who I am.
Yeah.
And I completely agree. Like you can grow confidence. And the other thing that I think someone told me a long time ago, you'll never feel confident before you do the thing. And I think so many of us stop ourselves doing whatever we want to do because we're like, oh, I'm not ready. I don't feel confident. But your brain and your body don't necessarily know what they don't know. So it's sort of that, you know, how do you take down those barriers? I get you've said there, you stepped out of your comfort zone, but how did you have the bravery to do that?
I think it's a process, and I think you can start small and build. You've mentioned readiness, so I'm going to touch on that. So readiness is a myth for most people. Yes. It's a myth. It's like a unicorn. You'll wait for it to come along, and you can hold yourself back massively just by waiting for that feeling of readiness. Yes, I'm ready now. You're most likely never going to feel ready, but that doesn't mean that you still can't do the things. So I think a lot of mindset work like that, but also accepting. I did, you know, some learning about how our brain works, and the fact that our brain likes to keep us safe. You know, that it likes to keep us safe. That kind of feels like it's its job. When all those saber-toothed tigers were about and everything, that was absolutely its job. And of course, it's quite different now, but it still tries to keep us safe. And so that feeling you've just described, you kind of go, oh no, I'll do that when I'm confident, or I'll do that when I'm ready. It's actually just our brain trying to protect us and keep us safe. But you know, you don't actually need to feel comfortable and ready to do things is I guess the biggest thing that I learned. So a lot of the stuff that's pushed me forward and pushed my business forward, I've never felt ready, and I've definitely felt terrified. So I think get comfortable with feeling uncomfortable is a really good way of looking at it. And you can feel uncomfortable and still do stuff. And what's the worst that can happen? Sometimes you will actually fail. And I think we're really, as a society, we're not comfortable with that either. We're not good with failing, but actually failing is good in some ways because you'll always learn something from it. And so you've got to be accepting, I think, that sometimes it won't go right, but actually it more likely will go right. And that then, and either way you'll learn from it. Either way you'll learn from it. So yeah, it's understanding how the mind works, and realizing that you are probably never going to quite feel, okay, excellent, I am now ready for this situation.
Yeah. But as you say, like failing is data, right? It's
absolutely. And it's almost like, I don't know, it's really hard. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a person that says, just do it. That's not what I'm saying, because actually that's not helpful to anybody. It's just say, oh, just do it. But understanding that how your brain works is actually super helpful, I think, because you can understand that you can be having all these internal kind of chattery messages, and you can acknowledge them, you can accept them, but you don't have to let them dictate what you do. You can, and actually recognizing them is kind of one of the biggest first steps, I think, that I found, was kind of going, okay, I'm having these imposter syndrome thoughts again.
Yeah.
Recognize it, acknowledge it, accept it, and then put some facts in place that kind of compete with it. So it's a bit of basic psychology, really, that I think really helped me and that I now use to help others.
I love that. Yeah, I love so many things that you've said there. But I think, one of the key takeaways there for me is that it's okay to feel uncomfortable and do the thing anyway. And actually almost sitting with that discomfort and being like, oh, this really sucks. But the acknowledgement of it really sucks rather than pretending it's not there and then going, okay, but I can still move forward. I can still carry on.
Yeah, we can move forwards and still feel uncomfortable. We can feel uncomfortable and still do really good things. And actually, also, again, just being really real about it. You might feel uncomfortable the second and third time, but what I definitely know is that once you start doing things regularly, then it does slowly become less uncomfortable, because, again, that's how our brains are wired. We're forming new pathways to kind of tell ourselves, actually, this is okay. There's no saber-toothed tiger's going to jump out of the cave here at me. And then, of course, then you get the positive endorphins and things like that, where you've actually done it and you're like, I did it. Yeah. And then that's positive feedback to your brain as well. So, I'm not saying everything I've done, I've failed as much as the next person. I've done things which I've kind of thought, no, that did not go well, but it's never stopped me wanting to, again, I've just used it as data. That's a really, really good way of looking at it, because that's removing emotion from it, which we're not very good as human beings, because we're very, very emotion led. And of course we should be. We're humans. That's how we are built. And that's why it's hard for us to strip the emotion out of it. But saying that's just data is a very clever way of going, I'm taking all the emotion out of it and I'm just going to look at it as hard data. I like that one. I'm going to use that one.
I'm going to use so many things you said. Can't wait. We're just exchanging little sound bites here. I love it. What does success mean to you?
I think it's massively changed over the years as I've got older, for sure. But success for me is about being able to live life on my own terms and having balance, that eternal thing, balance, that we're all kind of questing after, hopefully. So those two things, I would say, yeah, being able to follow what I love, lead life on my own terms, and balance.
And what does balance look like for you? Because I think it's really different for everyone, right? And it might look different on a different day. But I'd love to know, like, how you, because I find balance one of the hardest things. I'm either all in or I'm all out. And then I've been like, oh God, I've completely neglected this thing over here. How does one chase it? Or is it just like trying to capture smoke?
I'm not saying that I'm always in balance. I'm just saying that's my idea of success. So I'm not saying that I'm achieving it all the time, because that would be unrealistic. And I think generally, as women particularly, we're juggling a lot of balls, and that makes balance really hard to obtain sometimes. So how do I go about it personally? And like you say, it's so different for everybody, but I make sure that I have things in my life that just bring me pure joy, and I try and build on those as much as possible, as much as I can kind of squeeze into my life. Things that I know help me keep calm and centered, and really clear boundaries with running my own business. And that's really hard, actually, when you run your own business. Much more so, I think, sometimes than being employed, having done both, because you have clear cut-off points, hopefully, when you're employed. When you're self-employed, especially if you're working from home, which I'm out on shoots a lot of the time, but I'm doing a lot of stuff from home. When you're working from home, it's really easy for the boundaries to become super blurred, so you find yourself, still working late at night, or equally the other way around. You walk into the kitchen to make a cup of coffee and go, oh my God, the kitchen's a tip, I've got to clean it, when you should be working. So those boundaries get really blurred. And I think having clear boundaries, again, it took me a few years to really kind of get that. But I do have super clear boundaries in place now.
Yeah. I want to touch on the joy because you told me when we met that you have taken up dancing.
Yes.
Do you want to talk a little bit more about that? Because I think that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, never would have seen 47-year-old me suddenly decide that I was going to start tap dancing, but there you are. I think it was a mixture of things in terms of COVID definitely had an influence, because I used to be pre-COVID, I used to go to the gym and swim and use the facilities there. I suddenly couldn't afford to do that anymore because obviously being a photographer, everything just went boop, 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 boop. And so I came out the other side of COVID, and it was after the second lockdown actually when things again were just really tough. And I saw this advert for a 6-week tap beginners class. And I just literally thought, I just need some fun. I need something that's going to be fun. And it felt low commitment as well. I thought, I know I've always loved dancing. I did do a tiny bit of tap as a child, but not for any particularly high level. And I don't think I did it for that long. But I've always loved dancing and movement and did a lot of clubbing in my youth. So yeah, I just literally, it was almost like a whim. But I think also it was coming off the end of COVID, being quite low, thinking I just want to find a bit of joy. And also I think definitely being an age where I'm kind of like, if not now, when?
Yeah.
If not now, when am I going to do it? And, you know, my girls were a bit older. So I think it was a huge combination of things. But I just thought, I'm just gonna go and see how it goes. And then that was the beginning. Really, I really loved it. It's quite challenging, tap dancing particularly, but it's definitely challenging when you're 47 and you've never done it before. I can tell you that. Mentally, physically, all of it. But I loved it. And then I carried on, and then I joined another dance class with the same kind of company. And yeah, and I think it was 2 years after starting that tap basics course, I ended up on stage. Again, never ever. In fact, when they first told me about it, I was like, no, absolutely not. I feel like I'm going to vomit just even thinking about it. And don't get me wrong, it's all people of all ages. It's a really lovely company and they're very supportive. But internally, I was like, absolutely not. And then I went away and I kind of thought, hang on a minute. I am running a course now for women, helping them get better at showing up in their business and stepping out of their comfort zone. And I talk about this so much, you know, all the things we've already discussed. And I just thought, and here I am, absolutely going against everything that I encourage and promote. And I just thought, I've got to do it. I've got to do it because this is everything that I talk about. So I did it.
Amazing. And did you enjoy it?
I think that first time, enjoyment is a stretch of how I felt. I enjoyed all of the prep and the backstage and all the fun, but actually getting on that stage, I'm not going to lie, it was terrifying. And I actually didn't let anyone come apart from my immediate family, my husband and my 2 daughters, not even my best friend. She was like, what do you mean? I was like, no, I can't cope, don't come. So that was the first time. And I've just literally this year in April done my 3rd one. They do them every 2 years. So I've done my 3rd one, and I can honestly say I really enjoy being on stage. So it just goes to prove it took a while. Exactly. Took 3 shows over 6 years. But yeah, I absolutely did really enjoy it. So yeah, go figure.
I love that. And you said your definition of success has changed quite a lot. What did it used to be?
I think it was pretty standard when you first graduate with a degree, and you just kind of think, okay, I'm going to work my way up and I'm going to have some sort of high flying career and I'm going to increase my salary and etc, etc, etc. Just, you know, kind of what you're brought up to see as success, for sure. But I think it massively changed for me when I was still quite young. So 3 weeks before my 21st birthday, my dad passed away very suddenly, and he was only age 50. And obviously, as you can imagine, it was very traumatic and a horrible shock and all those things. And I had literally, you know, I was just in that part of my life where I was just starting on my career, really. And looking back, I can see now that had a profound effect on my worldview in terms of that life actually can be really short, and therefore you need to follow it's a bit cliche, but you need to follow your dreams, and you've only got one life. It can be really short. And so I don't think I even consciously realised quite that's how my brain was formulating it until maybe 10 years down the line. But it's definitely made me realise that. So I think over that kind of period and adjusting to what had happened, I began to realise that success for me was maybe going to look different. And that's why I did the crazy thing of leaving my well-paid job as a senior designer, I think, because I just wanted to follow a dream, and I felt that life is too short not to kind of do that, really, and at least try. And I could always go back to doing what I was doing before. So I think for me, it's had a profound effect on how the rest of my life, really, in terms like that. So it totally, I think I have had a different view of success quite quickly into my late 20s.
Yeah. I'm really sorry to hear about your dad, but what a beautiful gift he left you with.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I think when something like that happens, it gives you, I don't want to say the opportunity because that's not the word, but it gives you a pause to reflect and think, okay, what's important now? Because every day, we don't know how long we get, do we, at all?
Totally. It gives you perspective. And I don't think I saw it as that at the time at all. And not for many not for many years afterwards. But looking back now, now I'm actually over the age that my dad was when he died as well, which really does mess with your head a little bit. I really look back now and think, it gave me a different perspective that not many kind of 22, 23, 24-year-olds would ever have. And I wouldn't want them to have it necessarily. But yeah, I think for me, I have to look back and go, yes, this influenced my life for good or for bad at the time. It definitely influenced everything.
Yeah. And I mean, that sounds like a huge challenge. Did you have any other challenges, or have you had any other challenges you've had to overcome as you've moved through the business, or just in general?
I would say running your own business is one huge challenge every day. Yeah. It's like a roller coaster. There's so many ups and downs. There's so many times you doubt yourself. People tend to think, oh, you're living this amazing life and in some ways it is amazing. Of course, I have flexibility, all those sorts of things. But I think it is one of the most challenging things you can do. And it is really challenging. And of course, in the last 5-6 years, it is not, it's been even more challenging. So I was in quite good place before COVID hit, and that changed everything up again. And of course, we've had loads of things happen in the economy since then. So I think generally the challenges are always there. It's learning to ride the roller coaster.
Yeah. As you said, right? But learning to be uncomfortable and do it anyway, and just be like, okay, don't know what's going to come at me today. You must have to have such resilience against uncertainty, which I think, to an extent in this mad world that we all now live in, we've all sort of had to develop more of that. But as a business owner, you must just have to be like, okay, yep, I can just keep going. Like this is the next thing. This is the next thing.
Yeah, resilience, determination, faith in yourself. I mean, don't get me wrong. I still have days where I look on Indeed and think, I'm just going to get a job for, But that's the reality of it. It is like that. And maybe for some people it isn't, and they just kind of take off and they go. But I think for the majority of small businesses, it's tough out there. And you have to really have faith, and you have to be prepared to pivot, and you have to be prepared to, I mean, right now we're in a state of photos and AI, and I'm not sure which way that is going. And so you're always kind of trying to think ahead and everything. And I think it can be really challenging, but I think acknowledging that and talking about that, and I always keep that quite real when I talk to people, I think that's against the social media side, which is of course always supposed to be pretending that everything is absolutely amazing and wonderful. I do like to kind of talk honestly about it as well. And I've done posts about looking after your mental health whilst running your own business and all those kind of things. So I kind of hope that I may have helped a few people along the way, but also being real about it. It's just so people think, oh my God, it's not just me.
Yeah.
Is really helpful for people.
100%. And just if one person sees that and thinks they're sitting in their bedroom crying because it all feels too much, and they see that, then that changes their world, and that's huge.
Yeah. And equally, actually, sometimes it isn't for everybody. And, sometimes it's okay to say, I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to be employed again.
Yeah.
I think that's okay too. So, we beat ourselves up way too much, but it isn't for everybody. And it can be really challenging. And for some people, it just doesn't suit them. And that's okay. It's not failing. It's just kind of acknowledging, okay, this isn't right for me. So,
yeah. I love that. What advice would you give your younger self?
I would say have faith in yourself to get through really hard stuff. You're stronger than you'll ever possibly know. And probably as well, that listen to your gut, your gut feeling, your gut instinct, I guess, because it will generally guide you in the right direction.
Yeah. 2 very important pieces of advice. And what permission do you want to give other people through your story?
I think I would like women particularly, but everyone, I think, to know that you are imperfectly perfect just as you are. And actually, this whole kind of pursuit of perfection is not healthy or real. And it's okay that we can be imperfectly perfect. We all have our flaws. We don't need to be perfect to be brilliant. And yeah, that you're good just as you are, and you can do it.
Wow. Okay. Not going to cry. I love that. I think that's really, really important. And I think I might just have to record that as a soundbite and play it to myself on a regular basis, because
Go for it.
it's hard. It is hard, isn't it?
It is hard. I think particularly, I'm not saying that men don't struggle with some of the same things, because I'm sure they do, but I think women particularly, and I feel this very much now as a just turned 52-year-old woman, I think women have just got impossible we've got impossible ideals that we're supposed to live up to, and that we feel we need to live up to. And especially heading into midlife, particularly, I think, we're not really allowed to age. I mean, everything that is marketed to me now is anti-aging. And yet, if you think about that as a premise, everything should be pro-aging. Because actually not everyone, as you know, that I know, not everyone gets to age. It's kind of a luxury. Yeah, it's not a given. And so I really particularly have a problem, which is difficult, because I'm at that age where everything is called anti-aging. And don't get me wrong, I am very realistic about how hard it is to see yourself age in the mirror. It's hard, but I think it's particularly hard for women. I mean, men get called silver foxes. What's the equivalent for women to that term? There isn't one. And so as you get older, the more you can have self-acceptance of being imperfectly perfect, the more important it becomes, I think, because it becomes even harder when the kind of aging factors all come in. So yeah, it's something I feel quite passionately about, and yeah, there's just so much out there that's pressure on us, airbrush stuff on magazines and things like that. It's unrealistic, and I think it's damaging actually as well.
Yeah, I completely agree. And aging is such a privilege, and you're right, not everyone gets to do that. And I think we need to remember that a little bit sometimes with as you say, the barrage of anti-aging crap that gets spewed towards us. And it's a multi-billion-dollar industry.
It certainly is. Yeah, it certainly is. Yeah.
Oh, Kerry, what a conversation.
That got quite deep, didn't it?
It did. I was like, I might cry now. Oh no.
Sorry.
No, I love it though. But I'd much rather have this kind of conversation than what's the weather like and what you're having for your tea. So there we go.
Me too. Me too.
Are you ready for quickfire?
I did vaguely look at them, so let's go for it.
One word to describe your current relationship with success.
I would say curiosity.
Love that. Curiosity is my favourite thing in the world. Your non-negotiable boundary that protects you from burnout.
Oh, this is an easy one. I do not go on social media at weekends.
Oh, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
What does rest look like for you?
So, I would say actually that a lot of rest for me is actually movement. So that might be yoga. I've been doing yoga since I was about 22. It might be dance, obviously. That brings me a lot of joy. But actually, for me, that's kind of really good for my mental health. If I need physical rest, definitely curling up with a book, a fiction book. I love that's my idea of absolute total physical and mental rest.
I love that. One thing you wish more people knew about building a sustainable career, or just life in general, really. You know, it's quite hard, isn't it, out here?
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
It takes time. All these people that put all this stuff out on social media saying, I built a 6-figure business in like 3 months. I mean, most of it's utter bollocks. And it is definitely a marathon, not a sprint. And you need to be realistic and you need to be kind to yourself along the way.
I love that. The success metric that matters to you most right now?
Ooh. I think I touched on this before, but balance and freedom.
And finally, what makes you feel most successful as fuck?
But that's a good one because I would never actually equate that with myself in terms of I don't necessarily see myself in terms of success, but in terms of overall happiness and feeling fulfilled. So that, I guess, if I'm feeling really happy and fulfilled, then that's what I would say is when I feel most successful.
I love that. Kerry, where can we find you? Because you have a fantastic Instagram. You talked about it earlier, but everyone should follow you because you've got some great things on there. So where do we find you? What's your website? How do we work with you? Tell us everything.
So my website is Kerry J, so KERRYJ photography.co.uk. You'll find me mostly on Instagram, although I am on LinkedIn as well. But Instagram, you can just find me at Kerry J Photo. And I've just started up a new Instagram account for a new passion project that I started called The Middle Finger. So that is the middle finger with some, what are those ones called that go low? Yeah, those low lines.
We'll tag it in the show notes.
Yeah. So that's literally a new project that I've started. So that's a separate Instagram account because that's going to be building hopefully over the next year or so. So they're the main places to find me. Yeah, especially on Instagram. I think you get a good sense of who I am and what I'm about on there.
And can we touch on the Middle Finger project? Are we allowed to talk about it?
Absolutely, yes.
So what is it?
So, well, it's been one of those things that's been in my head for quite a long time. And my imposter syndrome voice got the better of me for a couple of years on it, of going, well, you know, you blah, 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 usual rubbish. But I am very determined to get it going this year. I think it's a project that has come from being in the midlife space as a woman. But so that's where it's come from. And like everything we've talked about, all the kind of, you know, anti-aging stuff that's out there, but also women shrinking themselves at this age and quietening themselves and feeling that perhaps they don't have so much to offer and feeling that they still can't try new things, all these kind of things that you see happening. So the Middle Finger project is about giving the middle finger to all that, really. It's not actually going to be photos of people putting their middle finger up, which is what a lot of people think it's going to be. It is going to be a very collaborative, community-led photography project where I will be asking a series of questions, not unlike some of the questions you've asked me today. And then the answers to the questions are going to form the creative input to your photographic portrait. So, yeah, it's going to be It's going to be really interesting creatively wise. It's going to be interesting creatively wise. I hope it's going to be really interesting for the people taking part in it. They're all going to be very different portraits, I think. I don't know where the end point is, and I've been working with a coach on this for me, and she's encouraged me to start it even without knowing what the end point is, which I find really difficult because I am a recovering perfectionist and I like to have everything, I know everything's going to, so it's a little bit messy at the moment, and she's kind of encouraging me to embrace that and just lean into the fact that I'm not entirely sure where it's going, but I know where it's starting. So again, this is really coming out of my comfort zone, but I do things like that on purpose now. I actually go, okay, I'm going to be leaving my comfort zone, so I'm going to do it. So I can't tell you exactly where it's going. There might be an exhibition at the end. I don't know. That really brings out my imposter syndrome, even saying that out loud.
First.
Yeah. So it's a chance for women to feel really seen, and that's what I think women feel they are not once they get into midlife. They don't feel seen anymore. And sometimes they don't even feel heard. And I think actually we're quite kick-ass when we get to this age. Yeah, we're quite badass if we allow ourselves to be, if we give ourselves time and space and understanding to let that person emerge. I think we can be quite badass. So I'm kind of excited about letting these women be seen.
Amazing. I can't wait. Keep me posted because I will be at the exhibition. I will come along.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kerry. It's been such a joy to talk to you. Really enjoyed our conversation.
It's been brilliant. Thanks so much for inviting me on.
It's been lovely. Just as you are. That's the permission Kerry wanted to leave you with. And yes, that was me trying not to cry when she said it. Because here's what I keep coming back to. Kerry built her confidence in public. Networking rooms where her voice shook. A stage where she wouldn't let her best friend come and watch. A passion project she's launching without knowing where it ends. None of it happened because she felt ready. All of it happened because she'd learned the feeling wasn't the gatekeeper. Uncomfortable and moving forward can happen at the same time. That's not a compromise. That's the whole method. So here's my question for you. What's the thing you are waiting to feel ready for? The course, the pitch, the class, the conversation, name it. Then ask yourself what you'd do this week if readiness genuinely wasn't coming. Because it isn't, and you can go anyway. Email me at successfulafpod@gmail.com and tell me what it is. I read every single one, and honestly, these emails are becoming my favourite part of the week. If this landed, 30 seconds on a rating and review helps more people find the show. Then send it to the friend who's been getting ready for a year. Gently. I'll see you next time.